Hi there guys, welcome into my earth lodge. I'm Will Lord, and this is a big chunk of flint which I'm going to try and make a tool out of. Now a lot of people, when they first try flint knapping out, they realise very quickly that it can be quite difficult, because there are some moves that you've got to make. They're strong, they have to be done right, and if any part of it goes wrong, then there is no flint tool from the middle of this anyway. So the reason for doing this video is to show you how to deal with a lump of irregular rock which pretty much only presents on the surface of it a set of problems. But you'll be pleased to know that there is a route. You might, for example, be wanting to make something like this. It's always good to tie a leg pad on, because your leg is what you're going to be smashing the rock over, and you need a little protection. So as you can see, the flint isn't exactly a friendly shape in the first place, and that can be part of the confusion. What we have here is a reasonably large pebble which is made out of quartzite, and that's going to be doing the major amount of opening the rock up and letting me get in. Before we start hitting the flint at all, what I should really show you is this, which is a Hertzian cone, and this, which is a 9mm ball bearing. And if you fire this from a catapult at a big thick sheet of glass and it hits it, somewhere behind it there's going to be a Hertzian cone. And the reason being is because that won't bore a hole straight through, but it will create a flange going in about 30 degrees in every direction. So when we hit the flint, what we've got to recognise is that there's going to be a deflection of about 30 degrees. When the flint comes at you naturally, such as this, there's lots of high spots, low spots. There's concave surfaces, which is the inside of a curve, and there's convex surfaces, which is the outside of a rounded slope. So what we're going to do is we're just going to start opening the door. I'm going to say it as I see it. In other words, nothing is going to get missed out. I'm going to start off on one side of the rock over here. We're going to break in. Now this rock came down that way, and the break is going to go that way, and we're in. Now the beautiful thing about actually getting something off in the first place is we now have a brand new surface that we can hit. It hasn't got any diffused sort of elements to it. It's nice and clean, and that means that this rock can hit it clean and in a non-confused fashion. So what you're going to start seeing is some activity from left to right. And the reason I'm doing that is because it's going to be easy for you to understand. So this was the last area that a flake came from. So this is the reflection of that flake, and we call it the flake scar, and I can hit that there. Now these removals are based on everything going right. However, flint is a 100 million year old rock that was formed on the bottom of the sea, or thereabouts, in years, not in where it came from. It was formed on the bottom of the sea. Quite often you'll find bits of shell sticking out of it and all sorts of things like that. And what you've seen is 3 removals so far. 1, 2, 3. And that means I've got a small amount of entry. And we haven't even considered that the other side of the rock looks like this. All we needed was entrance. And now we're going to expand the entrance and lead it all the way around the rock, because we need to get round the rock before we even start deciding what we're making. That comes next. So this big area here, which is part of the thickness of the stone, that's obviously the breadth of the stone, and that's the length of the stone. That looks like something you'd want to fight with, and basically all that's going to do is it's going to give you a hard time. So basically, I'm not going to let that beat me up. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to carry on moving into that area with something that works. Look. You'll also notice that I'm hitting the flint quite hard. Basically, the flint will not do me any favours. It needs to know who's in charge, and that happens to be me because I'm the flint napper. I'm going to go back round the other way for a minute. And what we're getting as an outcome is we're getting left, right or zig-zag as we go round the rock, and I'll show you how that gets dealt with in a minute. So we take this flake, what I am pleased about is I didn't know anything about this particular piece of flint before I started hitting it, but it's in good condition. It's breaking quite nicely. And nothing has changed in the way that we nap the flint. It's being done right here, right now, in the same fashion that people from the Stone Age did it. Now we're entering into this big, difficult territory now. And as you see, the flakes that I'm knocking off from the clean edges are being cast over the surfaces that presented themselves as something that was going to be a massive difficulty to me. See what I'm saying? Off you come. Like I said before, they're basically not going to do me a favour, so the best thing is to make sure I get rid of them. Just looking round this, things are tightening up here a bit, so I'm going to come to the back of this bit here, knock that off like that, which has increased the angle from this side, and we can turn that over and knock a huge chunk off of the top. That's made that look decidedly less tricky. There's a little crack inside the rock, which has meant we lost a bit of that back end. Doesn't matter. It's just the way it goes, and that's typical of what you might encounter when you're flint napping. So we knock that off, which is a preparation for hitting this here. Now there's a couple of things that's happened to this rock. For example, it's compromised now from the impact, both ends, so I'm going to put it down. I can't let the rock let me down that I'm hitting it with, and also I'm picking up a smaller one, which is going to give me a bit more detail. You with me so far? Now the truth of the matter is this is still a thick rock, but we've got all the way around it. And one of the observations that you should have made is that this rock is getting smaller very, very quickly. I need to stop that happening, and to stop it happening, I need to change my toolkit. We're going to use a soft hammer, and we're going to use a rock which is more powdery and a little bit more abrasive, and we're going to make platforms and cast flakes off with the antler that'll get thinner quicker but smaller slower. It somewhat becomes a little bit more delicate now. We turn that over That is now a recognisable platform, and now we're casting thin flakes over the surface. And as you can see, the scale isn't really changing of the flint, because the preparation platforms are quite small. But the ability to cast over the stone has grown. As you can see, this is thinning out. I'm really pleased to be able to say that my channel is growing quite quickly at the moment, and that means a lot of you are new to watching me do my craft, or one of my crafts, such as flint knapping. One week I might be tanning skins, another I might be showing you how to use traps. But there's a lot of videos on my channel, and if you've got any questions about a lot of the different crafts I do, whether it be natural cordage making, Stone Age cookery skills, many things like that, you'll probably find them in one of the previous videos. Or there is also a video playlist called Will's Prehistoric Adventures. I'll take you around the world and show you amazing places where Stone Age people lived and the activities they got up to. Anyway, let's carry on with this and see how it goes. So what I'm doing now is I'm hunting down high spots one by one. The high spots that live on the surface of the stone, and just gaining control over what I have left. And that can then, this can go on to become a spearhead, a knife, maybe a flint axe. Now, a common question is, if you can break it that easy, doesn't it break when you're using it? It's not breaking easy. That's the answer. I'm hitting it hard. I'm making shapes, which mean it's vulnerable. It's being hit in ways that it wouldn't be used as a tool, and it was used by people in the past for many thousands of years because it can do its job. They didn't have metal, they had flint, they had stone, and they made good use of it. When it's being used, it might go blunt, but if you can make it in the first place, that means you can sharpen it up as well. snap the end off a little bit there. But once again, I don't get too caught up in little things that go slightly wrong. It just changes the plan a little bit. Now, all said and done, when I started this video, my plan was to show you how to open the door, the kind of tools to use so that you can get a piece of flint moving in the first place, and actually start learning a little bit about what can be made from it. Because commonly people don't even get the door open, they just hurt their hands. They whack a big hard lump of flint without too much really happening, and come away from it feeling a bit bruised and dejected. So the idea was to help you get past the point of entry. So with that being said, what I'm going to do here is I'm keeping this a little bit crude, and I'm finishing this up as something called a hand axe, which was used for not working on trees or wood at all, but it was used as a giant butchery tool for taking apart the limbs and things off of large game like mammoth, woolly rhino, huge animals that were living and walking the plains of the planet alongside these people. So there we have it. Remember the big rock in the first place? We now have a hand axe just down here. I have an old one that's about 750,000 years old, and it's no longer sharp, but the shape's still there. But now we have a bright new fresh one. Hopefully you enjoyed that and watched it from beginning to end, and hopefully you'll hit the subscribe button, tell your friends about it, help me grow the channel, and follow me on lots of new adventures, and keep the primitive feel alive. For now, checking out, catch you later.